2 months ago, I released a video titled Coming Up with New Vault Hunters for Borderlands 4. That was a really fun video to make, and I said I'd most likely make a sequel to it, so that's what we're going to be doing today. So for those who don't know me, I'm Cashew, and here are some more ideas I have for potential Vault Hunters in Borderlands 4. So kind of continuing on from the theme of the previous video, I've always had an idea for how a rat Vault Hunter should play. Not that all the new Vault Hunters in this video are going to be some kind of bandit, but I digress. Rats were an enemy type only ever in Borderlands 2. They're basically people who've gone insane from living in Pandora's toxic mines. Living in those conditions mutated them in various ways, from having long teeth and claws to some rodents of unusual size having laser eyes somehow. Because of this, there are a lot of unique directions you could go with the rat, meaning that Borderlands 3's multiple action skill format might work best. The action skills I have in mind are Burrowing, that lets you sneak past some enemies underground, move faster, and deal a lot of damage when coming out of the ground, sort of like a more gross version of Phase Lock from Borderlands 1, except this version will let you go in and out of the tunnel for positioning a lot more often when getting the right skills or augments. Another would be a long distance melee strike similar to the one seen in the games, and finally using the laser eyes to completely stun an enemy. If the enemy is killed while in stun, the player gets a little bit of duration back. These open up 3 separate skill trees, being one based off of unique mechanics, one off melee, and one on high damage. We'll start with the unique mechanics because I easily have the most to say about that one. The main mechanic that this tree would be based off is picking up as many guns as you can, mimicking how the rat AI plays in Borderlands 2. Every time you pick up an item, you'll get a stack of scavenge. The more of these stacks you have, the more damage and accuracy you'll get, with some kill skills rewarding other things like movement speed and reload time. This skill will change the way you really interact with the game by forcing more movement and getting the player to try new things. This tree will also have an even higher focus on weapon swap speed to correlate with the amount of weapons that you'll have at once. And I'm not an idiot, I see the major issue with this game concept, which is the fact that you have limited backpack space. But how about we just have infinite backpack space? Because that's like way more fun, or at least like a really large amount like Borderlands 1. I really don't see a reason to cap the backpack space at 30 or 37 or 39. It only really hinders the experience. The capstone skill would include being able to gain stacks passively while burrowed, and having all dropped weapons in the vicinity fly towards you when popping out of the burrow, giving you all the stacks that comes with it. The next tree would be melee, and there are a lot of places you can take from for this. First off would be pickpocketing, similar to the skill from Nisha's tree as a reference to the rat thieves. Then being able to infuse your melee attacks with elements like plague rats can. These would be the main augments for this tree. Skills would be mainly buffing melee damage, but also having more max health and regen. This culminating in the capstone, which would let the rat eat a dead enemy to get their health back, and if their health is full, have it act as overhealth like a rat from Borderlands 3. And the final tree is going to be based off how much damage you can deal in a single shot. A lot of skills in this tree will massively buff damage in exchange for lowering reload times, making weapons like shotguns and launchers be ideal for most situations. Mainly because the action skill freezing an enemy in place will give you time to get up close with the shotgun and hopefully go in for the one shot. The capstone will be based on overkill damage. The more damage that you kill an enemy with that exceeds their health bar, the more health you will get back over time. This is a weird combination between the thrill of the kill from Krieg's tree and no kill like overkill from Salvador's tree in Borderlands 2. I think it works better using it for health regen rather than damage. Since the rat is going to be up in everyone's faces constantly, it will need some sort of healing tool. So the rat is a very scavenger heavy movement based character that can do a lot of damage up close but struggles with long distance shots. Their accuracy can go up quite a bit however, but that is only if they have a lot of stacks of scavenge by picking up a lot of items throughout the map. At max level, I'd like to see the use of burrowing or the melee jump strike to get in close, followed by very close range fighting with either melee or gun damage. The other action skill, Eye Laser, would be harder to hit and use, but has a much higher reward for it, with it being the highest damage the rat can do if spec'd and played right. The next Vault Hunter I want to talk about is a Grenade Maniac, a build that is all about grenades, regen, and explosive damage. The action skill would be that you shoot yourself forward, curled up in a ball, and when you hit the ground, you act as the center of a massive Merv grenade. None of the child grenades can hurt you, and you'll be able to have more depending on how you're spec'd in your trees. This leads perfectly talking into the first tree, talking all about the action skill. The middle capstone would add an additional child grenade on the initial blast. There will be one of this skill hidden somewhere in every tree. The final capstone would be for it to act as a bonus package, to where the child child grenades have at least one child grenade of their own. This tree would also have some more basic skills like reload and damage increases as skills in between the action skill upgrades. These action skills would increase its damage, range, and distance that it can be started from, meaning how far you can launch yourself from the initial activation. The other trees will be based off grenades and explosive damage. There of course will be skills that help them out in all trees that don't have anything to do with explosive damage, just so all of their eggs aren't in one basket, but that will be where they mainly shine. The grenade tree will have the classic grenadier skill from both Borderlands 1 and 2, giving the player more grenade capacity and a little bit of grenade regen. There will also be a skill to passively increase grenade damage, and a similar one to that's a lot more effective, but is a kill skill. The middle capstone will unlock a lot of potential with this class, as it specifically focuses on TDO guns, only losing half of the ammo they would usually when thrown. For those who don't know, TDO chucks are counted as grenade damage and are a staple of any grenade build. When a TDO gun is usually thrown, all the ammo in that mag will be lost, but the more mag lost, the more damage. This skill now makes it so using these chucks is a lot more economical. The final capstone though, I think should be what can really make this build work. Every time you kill an enemy with a grenade, you have a 50% chance to get that ammo back. In addition to this, every time you get a grenade back, you'll be able to throw the grenades a lot faster, meaning that spamming the grenades in the right places will take precedent as the build. This still has to be earned though by not just spamming in every single room to start with and having carefully calculated throws to get your kills. The final tree, as I said, will be based on explosive damage, but will also have a lot more of your basic skills like Metal Storm for instance, if that hasn't already been given to another character. I think the middle capstone should be a melee override, sorta. When you melee an enemy, you'll plant a sticky or C4 pack onto them, which you can detonate with another melee hit or waiting out its time limit. You should be able to upgrade this so that if you hold the melee button down, you get a combo of 3 swings, all sticking their own pack to the enemy. This ability will have a cooldown though. The final capstone would be a kill skill that gives the explosive damage type to whatever gun you're holding, including guns of other elements. If you're holding an explosive gun already, you will receive more bonus explosive damage. This idea is based off a very similar skill from pre-sequel called Frigid Touch, which does the exact same thing with cryo damage. It proved that even though cryo was the most broken in that game, this skill wasn't that broken, and instead gave Aurelia a much more fun playstyle. So the Grenade Maniac's playstyle would be to use mainly explosive guns or grenades to start off mobbing, then use their action skill in a large crowd to deal a lot of damage. After kill skills are activated, depending on the player's build, you can either try to back off and strafe with high damage explosive guns, or start a chain of grenade throws going to clear the area as fast as possible. One of my favorite Vault Hunter archetypes is the ex-manufacturer soldier. We've had an ex-Atlas, an ex-Dahl, an ex-Vladoff, but if we were to continue this pattern, then I'd say Maliwan would be the go-to. The Maliwan troopers were far and away the best enemies to fight in Borderlands 3, and part of that was the variety. You had the heavies, the runners, the nogs. You have a lot that you can take from these guys, but I think it would be best to just focus on a few. My idea wouldn't be an ex-Maliwan soldier per se, as that has been done to death, but this Vault Hunter would be a Promethean citizen that stole a bunch of Maliwan tech during the war in Borderlands 3. The gear they have is sort of a mismatch of all the Maliwan trooper builds, including a nog grenade that summons a nog to give you a shield, the speed suit worn by Flash or Breach troopers, a massive charge beam repurposed from an Arbalest arm, the guiding laser seen on jet troopers, and the lightsaber baton looking thing that riot troopers hold. Obviously these all aren't action skills. I think the nog grenade should be, as well as the speed suit and Arbalest laser. The guide laser could just be a fun design thing when aiming down sights, and the baton can be the melee attack, provided that melee weapons from Wonderlands don't return. Each of these skill trees will be based off one of these action skills while also having their own unique playstyle. Because it's Maliwan, elemental damage will be at the forefront of the first tree, the same tree that focuses on the Arbalest cannon. Augments can change its element as well as its gun type, such as making it a rapid fire or single shot railgun. The final capstone lets the player press a button to absorb whatever element they're being shot with. They will then do that element for as long as they are inflicted with the status effect. This will not work when shooting yourself, but can be chosen not to be absorbed if there's like a fire Spider-Man or something that is immune to the element that they're putting out. The next tree is all about movement speed with the speed suit action skill. While it's active, the player can choose to strafe very far quickly into any direction. During that strafe, you will be invincible, letting you dodge strong moves if timed right. It will also give passive movement speed and a slide speed buff while the action skill is active. This tree will have the classic more movement speed kill skill that a number of Vault Hunters have previously got, as well as the middle capstone regen being reworked violent momentum from Zane's tree. This will now be 1 point instead of 5, and the effect will not be as strong. This is because we still want to incentivize movement without making it just a carbon copy of Zane's tree. The major capstone will turn the player's action skill into more of a frenzy mode where kill skills are more effective and you deal flat out more damage while your action skill is up. The final tree will be about the Nog grenade / companion build. This is mainly based off of one optional grenade that you can receive in Borderlands 3, which is basically just a Pokeball for Nogs. As an action skill, once thrown out, the Nog will stick behind you, buffing your shield. Depending on what you decide to do with the tree, the Nog can focus on damage based on the Ninja Nog variants, health regen, or beefing up your shield based on the regular variant. The health regen, while more useful, will not be as big as a buff as the shield skills get to keep it balanced. The skills would focus also on shield capacity, delay, and recharge, making it sort of a tank build while also buffing the damage of your Nog companion as you go. Both the middle and final capstones will be significant upgrades for your Nog, with the former being a shield that stays in front of the Nog, and the latter being a powerful attack the Nog will do when thrown out, making the action skill activation act almost as a grenade in itself. The Maliwan Trooper's gameplay when it all comes together is a fast-paced playstyle with an emphasis on elemental damage over time, as well as an optional companion build that you can use to make yourself more tanky. The weaknesses of this build only really come with no real big part of pure damage output, as they more rely on outliving their opponent and proccing as many elements on an enemy as possible. That's all I have for you today. Just like last time, this was super fun to make, so thanks for watching the video and helping me out. If you want to see yet another part to this and make it its own series, let me know in the comments, as I do read every single one. Thank you again one more time for watching. Let's do the channel member shoutouts. My channel members are JBH, who survived being lifted through the air by a hurricane. They landed on an unknown island in the Indian Ocean and decided to become a grain farmer. Wesker520, who was the first to have the idea of murder. They should have kept it to themselves, to be honest, but we did get some pretty good movies out of it. Angel B, who found pretty strong evidence that early humans used to have saddles on pterodactyls and ride them around. Chibi Scrimpy, who is currently working on turning the Amazon rainforest into one really big treehouse for them and their buddies. Jaden H, who woke up like super angry, looked into a raccoon's eyes, and then it all felt better. Noah Roland, who showed up to a nightclub with some nunchucks, swung them around a bit, and then the bouncer just let him in. Simple as that. Handsome Frank 63, who swallowed diamond dust, to which their net worth increased about $17 million. Moral of the story is eat random shit and it will work out. And Carlisle McGuinness, who got drunk one night and they woke up at the set of Lost 20 years ago. Just another Tuesday for them. Thank you guys so much for the extra support. It is actually crazy how many of you there actually are now. Thank you so much for joining. If you also want to get a shout out like these guys and make these outros really long, you can by just hitting the join button below the video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.